Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'd like to take a look at a bunch of new card reveals, including a Klinklang line, which I personally feel shouldn't exist, to be honest, but we'll get to more of that in a second. But first of all, I just want to have a quick look at some single prize Paradox Pokemon that were revealed. So we have a Raging Bolt and an Iron Boulder, both in single prize form, which is cool. Now, Raging Bolt does have the very fun attack Raging Thunderstorm, which for a lightning fighting energy does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to Raging Bolt. So the obvious synergy here is well with the Raging Bolt EX Ogerpon deck, so that's nice. Got a new single prize option for that deck, which is cool. However, what I would also like to point out is this could be used in GLC, it has some synergy with the Dragon type Koraidon, although you probably don't have enough ancient Pokemon to really exploit that Koraidon yet, at least for Dragon types. So unless they suddenly print a load more Dragon type ancient Pokemon, then maybe that's not the best option. But still a pretty fun attack in GLC, and the energy cost does, well, the energy typing does sort of have synergy with Pokemon like Komoho, which also use fighting and lightning energy. So does have some cool applications for GLC as well. So yeah, pretty fun card overall. Also have this Iron Boulder, which has the very funny attack Adjustable Horn, which for a Psychic Colors does 170 damage, but if you do not have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, then the attack does nothing. Now, first impressions with this card is, most single prize Pokemon, like most Stage 1, Stage 2s, barely do 100 damage sometimes, and we've got Iron Boulder over here as a basic that can do 170. Like, granted, you have to have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, right? So you have to be playing things like Judge, you have to be playing things like Hand Trimmers. You could play like the upcoming Xerasic in theory if you thin your hand down enough, so that's an option. But 170 is so much damage for just 2 energy. It really makes me wonder, like what are they doing with card design right now, especially with single prize Pokemon? I'm just like out here scratching my head. You have things like Dragon Headbutt, which does 130 for 3 energy. And we're going to look at like a Klinklang in a minute that does 130 for 2 energy. And you've got Iron Boulder over here that can do 170 for 2. It just feels a bit strange, but either way, you could play this with Xatu. You've got all the future modifiers, so like the future capsule for plus 20 damage and no retreat cost. And then on top of that, you also have Iron Crown EX, which you could play, but your bench space might get a bit crowded if you're making room for Xatu. But, could be a pretty fun deck. But yeah, 170, I mean, yeah, I guess Klov was doing a lot of damage, but yeah, it just feels strange. Seeing single prize Pokemon that can 1-hit KO like GX Pokemon, basically, It's very strange, but yeah. Those are the single prize Paradox Pokemon. And we do have this Klinklang. Now, the first thing I want to point out is the Klang and the Klink don't do anything like on their own, which I'm going to point out more in a second is one of like my biggest gripes with this card. So basically, Klinklang has 140 HP and has the ability Emergency Spin. It says once your turn, if this Pokemon is in your hand and your opponent has a Stage 2 Pokemon to play, you may put this Pokemon onto your bench. And then Hyper Beam does 130 for 2 colors, and you discard all energy from Klinklang. So it is noticeably a Chien-Pao counter, like a Chien-Pao Baxcalibur counter. You just get a 1-hit KO on a Chien-Pao, even if they have a big charm attached. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, I don't think Chien-Pao was in a position where it needed to be countered. And at the same time, it's not really going to counter other Stage 2 decks because 130 is pathetic. So, like, why does this card exist, really? And it's weird that it's a Stage 2 as well, because it just means that the pre-evolutions are essentially just wasted cards, unless we get a good Klinklang EX or like a good Klinklang in the future. I get that there's a lot of bulk in every set, and yeah, there's some like Stage 2 single prize Pokemon which are noticeably worse than most other Pokemon in a set. But this whole evolution line just feels like a waste of cards, really, It's just like you pull a Klink in a pack and it's like, oh, I'm not now waiting to pull the rest of the evolution line because it's just a hyper niche counter to one deck that's not even top tier. It just feels a bit weird, Hopefully I don't sound like a madman by saying this, but like Chien-Pao is just not a great deck right now. It's good, don't get me wrong, it is a good deck, but it's not great, and I wouldn't go out of my way to play this guy, especially not when it needs, still needs 2 colors. It's going to get the 1-hit KO, then you discard all energy. and it's also going to just be dead in most matchups anyway. So like 130 is just terrible against Charizard. So like, yeah, it just feels like such a weird card to print, to be honest, and it's a waste of a stage 2 line in my opinion. So yeah, they could have at least given like Klang an ability that says if your opponent has a stage 2 in play, then once your turn, you may attach your basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon or something. Like, they could have just done something interesting, like maybe not that good, but they could have had fun abilities, basically. They could have just made this whole evolution line a one-trick pony kind of thing. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing, to be honest. But yeah, let me know what you think about Klinklang down below. And then the last set of reveals today are this new Talonflame, which does have the attack Aerial Chase. Aerial Chase for 2 colors does 110, and if the retreat cost of your opponent's active Pokemon is 2 or more, this attack does 110 more damage. So 220, pretty respectable. 2 colors energy is just a bit of a pain. It feels really weird in standard to say that 2 energy is just way too slow most of the time if you're not playing energy ramp. It feels really weird. Like, we've just gotten to a point where the format is so fast that you can't really get away with this. Like, you have to be playing SAR2 or some other way of ramping energy. But either way, even if you can get the energy and set up a stage 2, that does have free retreat, which is nice. 220 just isn't a lot, not when you only have 140 HP. So like, if you could tank a hit, then maybe, because then you could 2-hit KO multi-price Pokemon, but the fact that the only thing you can KO is like a Iron Crown EX or whatever, like, it's just not super great. However, we do have a new tool card, Gravity Stone, that increases the retreat cost of both active Pokemon by +1 colors. So you will be able to get Talonflame's attack off more often, and of course you do have the Spidops EX and Ariados. So yeah, some fun options there, but again, you're not doing a whole ton of damage. But yeah, let me know what you think of these cards down below. I personally don't think... Oh, it's another point I was going to make. I don't think there should be more Talonflames. Not when some Pokemon have been ignored for so long at this point. I don't think there's been like a Smoochums since Legacy. So yeah, it just feels weird. There's also not been a single prize Superior since Fates Collide, I believe. There was a Superior V-Star, which is cool. But there hasn't been a single prize Superior since XY. I don't think there's been a Tyrantrum since... Yeah, there's not been a Tyrantrum since the Sun and Moon era either. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I guess this was a present in Blueberry Academy, and someone on the design team loves printing terrible Talonflames for some reason, but like... Yeah, I love Talonflame, but like, did we need any more? Probably not. So, yeah, bit of a dud reveal, to be honest. But the Gravity Stone is cool for Spidops and Ariados decks. That's fun. But yeah, Klinklang, I don't think should have been printed. I don't think this is necessary, unless Chien-Pao suddenly gets some busted new card for it. I don't think Lapras is going to take it over the edge or anything. So, yeah, feels a bit weird. And then these Pokemon, to be fair, are quite cool. Like, Iron Boulder could be a lot of fun with Xatu, and Raging Bolt is a nice new tech option. But yeah, let me know what you think down below of these reveals, and I'll hopefully see you all next time. Thank you for watching.